Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about a photography technique that I've seen online and was always kind of interested in it, and just recently I actually started to experiment with it. This is a method known as, I think it's called Kinetic Camera Rotation. I'm not actually sure that's the official name of it. That's what I see it referred to a lot in some of the forums and stuff, but it's something that is done in the dark. You know, it's a form of light painting, but being that it's done in the dark, it's actually kind of difficult for me to record a video and show you how I go about this, what this process is. So I'm doing this in the daylight as a starter, just to kind of go over and do an overview of this real quick, and explain what the process involves, and then, you know, how I'm doing it. And then further in the video, what we'll do is we'll actually try to record while I'm trying to actually do one of these. So I'm not an expert in this. This is still something I've been experimenting with. Early on here, you know, I'm very early on in it. My first attempts at this, I was actually kind of impressed at what I was getting. There's a few things I still need to figure out, but it's actually quite interesting what the results are. So I figured I'd try to, show you what I'm using here. So first off, we're going to start off with my camera. We're going to be using my Canon 5D Mark IV. On it, I currently have the 2470 f2.8 L series Mark II lens. And then on the front of this, I actually have an H&Y magnetic case. It's the H&Y K series. It's the magnetic filter holder. It holds 100 millimeter filters, and I use this for like neutral density filters and stuff. Those of you who've worked with neutral density filters know that what the benefits of these are in the daylight. I'm actually using it in a little bit different capacity here, specifically because this filter holder, excuse me, this filter holder is magnetic, and what I'm doing, and I'll reach forward here for a second, what I'm using here is I have an ND1000 filter, and I'm going to be using this at night. I'm not using this to be a neutral density filter. I am using this to be a pseudo lens cap. So we're going to put the camera into bulb mode at a high f-stop. So I'm actually going to be running anywhere between f16 and f22 because I really want to limit the amount of light going into the camera. Okay, we're going to put the camera in bulb mode, and we are going to lock the shutter. There's a couple ways to do that. Most people, the most common way is these little remote cabled controllers here, shutter releases. I have one here for my camera, and I do use this sometimes. In this particular configuration though, I found it was a little bit cumbersome, so I'm not actually going to be using this. What I am going to be using is I have my cell phone and I have the camera app on here to remote control my camera. I am able to put the camera into bulb mode and control it from the phone. Okay, so that's the basic setup. Now, what I'm using here is a gimbal, and those of you who are familiar with gimbals are usually used, like you'll see landscape photographers use them some. Generally you see that mostly used in like video production, not as much in photography though. Like I said, some photographers do use them. What a gimbal does, it allows you in this configuration, and I have modified this one a little bit to do what I'm trying to do. It allows me to rotate the camera. Okay, so as you see here, you can see I am just rotating the camera, and I have this particular gimbal set up so that it is rotating around the center point of the sensor on the barrel axis of the lens. Okay, now how we're going to do this here very quickly is you'll see on this gimbal I've marked off little lines here on the body of the gimbal configuration. And what we're going to do is, with the filter in place, we're going to use the phone. We're going to trigger, we're going to open the shutter and leave the shutter open. Okay. And actually, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Once I've framed up my shot, and I'll use live view to frame my shot, I'll get it, get it all, my composition set. What I'll do is kind of set all that. I'll get the focus in, and I'll set the focus to manual focus. I don't want the camera to focus. I have the ISO set at 100. I have the f-stop set at a high f-stop. So we're talking a very small aperture, an f16, an f22, somewhere in that range there. That's where I've had the best results so far. And then again, camera's in bulb mode. The ISO is at 100, so we can do a nice long exposure and not get an excessive amount of noise. All right. So we'll start the shutter. We'll open the shutter. I have the gimbal locked in its position, pointing at the subject I'm going to be photographing. Typically, it's going to be lights or something that is lit up in a way. And then what I'm going to do is start the shutter, do that, and then I'm going to reach up and I'm going to remove the filter, and I'm going to count. And generally, I'm usually going to use either a 1 or 2 second count. So just 1/1000. And I'm going to put the magnetic filter back in place. Then I'm going to loosen up the knob. I'm going to rotate the camera 1/8 of a turn. Lock it again. The shutter's still open at this point, but there's no light coming in because this ND1000 is really dark. It's just not allowing any light in. Then I'm going to remove this filter one more time, 1001, put it back in place, rotate the camera one more time, 1/8 of a turn, lock it in place, and do it again. And I'm going to repeat that process until that camera goes all the way around the 8 steps that is because I have it marked off into eighths. Okay, so I want to get each line in on that. So we're going to get 1/8 turn all the way around, and then we're going to stop the exposure. Now at that point, that is a single exposure. It has 8 mini exposures in it because I've used the filter, like I said, as a pseudo lens cap. But what I get there is I get almost, I wouldn't call it a kaleidoscope because the images are overlapping each other. It's a kaleidoscope style multi-exposure image in a single image, and it's straight out of the camera. So in the example that I'm showing here, you see this example here where I was photographing some lights, and you can see how I've rotated the camera around. Here's the actual, what I was visually seeing, which is this house at Christmas time, and then I've rotated it around and created this image. Okay, so that's the basic of how I'm using it, and a little bit about the gimbal here. So the gimbal here, you don't have to go, there are some expensive ones that click and everything like that, and it's, they make it a lot easier. This is an inexpensive, newer gimbal that I've purchased on Amazon. Took me a little while to get it kind of lined up with my camera to work in the configuration. Is basically trying to find that you kind of want to get that this thing kind of aligned and set up in a way where you're kind of rotating on or near the center point of the focus of the sensor itself. So this is where it is. Now what I want to do is we're going to go forward a few hours. I have a set of shots in mind for tonight. We're going to go out tonight, and now that I've shown you the setup, we're going to go out tonight. I have a couple of shots in mind, and I'm going to do this. I'll have the video camera here set up so that we can capture that, but because it's dark, you're not really going to be able to see much of what I'm doing. You're going to see a little bit of that, but you'll kind of get the gist of it. Like I said, is that this part of the video is strictly to kind of show you the setup, so you're kind of aware of what I'm trying to accomplish with this, and then you'll see the results. So tonight we'll go out and we'll shoot some video and we'll actually do some pictures here. We're going to do some rotations, kinetic rotations, and then we'll show you a couple things. There's a few things we can do just doing the 8th turns there. You can go 16th turns. I've even done it where I'll do 8 turns, zoom in, and do 8 more turns, and it kind of doubles up on some of those images. Okay, so what we found here, this homeowner has this neat old truck and rat rod parked in front of his house, and you can kind of see him bouncing around a little bit, but pretty neat little display. He's got the nice little LED lights on it, kind of outlining the 2 of them. This one looks like it'll work pretty well, so we're going to go with this one. So give me a moment, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few minutes to set up the camera and get everything configured, and then what I'll do is I'll have the GoPro mounted on top of the camera while we do the rotation. Okay, so here's our composition. I have this already set up. With the lights. Camera's all ready to go. Actually, no, I have one thing I'm not sure about. Let's put the ND filter in the front. And set the camera to bulb mode. I'm going to go to wide view. Okay, we're going to start our first rotation.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I was trying to send my son out, but my guys are too shy. Like, I don't know if that should be up more.
No, that's fine. Actually, I love it just like it is.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I'm trying a couple different things here, and I'm actually I took one shot of it already, even though it's a little brighter than I wanted, but that I can adjust for. And then I'm also doing something that's called a kinetic rotation, where I'm actually going to rotate the camera while I'm taking the picture.
Are you George?
I'm Walt.
Oh, okay. I can't see very well.
It's okay.
Oh, I know George does stuff like that.
Yeah, George and I both do that, yeah.
Yeah.
I know George. I see he and I do a lot of, like the parades and everything like that.
Yeah,
so
the carnival.
Yeah.
I don't know, like Mr. Snowman's not in too great a position.
Fine.
The wind and stuff that we had.
Yeah, I'm sure that's. I love the new edition.
Yeah.
That's
gosh.
so
he had
cool.
to have that out here. Yeah, I'm gonna throw it out. And I'm like, oh.
Okay, so we had to kind of quickly shift our plans there. So what happened was, as I was getting the shot set up and everything, I did my my quick baseline shot just to kind of test, and then the owner of the house came out. And while she didn't have a problem with me taking the pictures, we had a really lovely conversation. Very nice lady. She was telling me all about the vehicles. They belonged to her son, and how he built them, or was building them. And then her husband came out, and I ended up spending, half an hour, 45 minutes talking with them. But while I'm doing that, I wasn't really shooting or doing much. So, I kind of felt like I was a little bit of a distraction for them, but also, I don't have a problem, chatting with them or anything like that. It's just, I felt like I was just, kind of interfering or disrupting their life. So, plus also I just wasn't shooting the shot. So I did, just to show her what I was doing, I did manage to get 2 shots. During the process, I discovered that having the GoPro mounted on the top of the camera did cause a technical problem. It didn't allow me to fully rotate the camera the 100 or the 360 degrees like I was trying. So I had to quickly remove the GoPro. So you see in the video footage, it's like there's a little bit of, you know, jockeying there, trying to get everything working while I was trying to get the shots together. I got a baseline shot, which is, you know, this one right here. And then I did manage to get 2 rotation shots. So the first one, which, you know, this is where I had the GoPro hitting on the bottom of the gimbal mount, so it wasn't letting me get all the way around. I quickly removed the GoPro and set it down on the ground, and then managed to get the second shot. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go out and try to find some different lights there, and we're going to try this again. These 2 shots look great. I like these 2. I think they're good examples, but I didn't really get to take you through what I was doing. So we're going to go out and try to find something else. What I'm really looking for, like I said before, LED lights, not really the inflatables. I don't want to do the inflatables. I think they don't look quite as good when I'm doing the rotation. So let's go out and we're going to try again. Okay, so I'm at another location right now. Coincidentally, the second place I went, I had the exact same thing happen. It was a house that I was familiar with. This guy puts on a big display every year. This year he had kind of downsized it quite a bit for extenuating reasons. But anyways, as soon as I started setting the camera up, he came out and we ended up getting into a long conversation. So I did manage to get a couple of shots there, but I didn't record any video of me working because it just wasn't working out like that. So you know, here's a couple of shots. Here's a base shot. This is some trees in front of his house, and then I did some rotations with those trees. So you got these right here. Did a couple different variations of this. I've moved on from there, and now we're at another place. And this, I want to introduce you to Monty. He's right here behind me. That's, you can probably see him there. That's Monty the dinosaur. He stands in front of a place called Nature's Art in Montville. And yeah, there we go. You can kind of see him now. So that's Monty, and we're going to do some shots with Monty. Okay, I realized I can park my Jeep off to the side and put on the off-road lights. That's over there a little bit, so it's giving me a little bit of light here. So should be able to see me now in the camera. I have my camera set up on the tripod. I forgot to mention the tripod earlier. So this is an old Sunpack tripod I have. It's made out of aluminum. It's a big, heavy one that I no longer use for normal day-to-day photography simply because of its weight. However, for this particular scenario, this thing is perfect because it's a nice heavy tripod. What you do want to have is a nice solid tripod so that you're not getting any additional movement in there. So a sturdy tripod is a must for this, okay? Now, gimbal setup, camera setup. I've created my composition. ISO is at 100. I'm at f16. I've already locked the focus. All I need to do, I have it connected to my cell phone so that I can control the shutter. The camera is in bulb mode, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the shutter. Okay. I'm going to take my first piece off, so I'm removing this 1001, 1002. I'm putting the filter back in place, unlocking the gimbal, moving an eighth of a turn, 1001, 1002. Move the gimbal one more time, eighth of a turn, 1001, 1002. Another eighth turn, a little hard to see. Usually I use my low-powered flashlight just so I can see that. 1001, 1002. Put the shutter back, put the filter back on. forgot to take my strap off the camera. No problem. 1001, 1002. Another 8th turn. 1001, 1002. With the high f-stop and the dark ND filter here. 1001, 1002. You know, we're in a pretty low light situation, so I don't have to really worry about overexposing it. And this is the last one, 1001, 1002. And release the shutter. And I will continue to do that through this hit. So I'm going to shoot a bunch of more shots, and I'm just going to stop this part of the video right here. And then when I get back into the house there, what I'll do is I'll show you the results for this evening. I'm going to shoot a handful of shots of Monty here, and we'll go through there and just do those all up. So, okay, we have returned home, and I have imported the images into Lightroom. So these are the shots here. I will look at the first one. This is the a baseline shot of Monty. I have a preset that I use to brighten things. We can bring down the blacks a little bit. I like to have a little bit more contrasty here in my shots. Okay, we'll just move on to the next one. So here's the shot we did with the eight turns. Okay, so we'll apply my preset that I already use on this. We're going to bring that contrast up a little bit. What I really like to do is kind of make those colors pop, so we'll bring up the saturation some. Just to kind of bring that, and I'm going to bring the blacks down and the shadows down just a little bit to kind of just make him stand out a little bit. Really want a little bit more contrast in that. Let's see if we can get him. I'm going to bring the clarity up too a little bit. That sometimes helps. So there's the second shot. So this is with 8 turns. And now with this next one, this also is with 8 turns. We'll apply some there. Bring that contrast up a little bit. A little bit more clarity. Bring that brightness, the highlights down just a hair. That's not too bad. I want to bring those saturations up, really kind of make those colors pop. That's what I really like to see with these myself. Here's where I just did a reverse, so I only did 2 shots on that one there. So rotated the camera 180 degrees. Bring that up. You can see what happened is there was a car that pulled in at the same time I was taking this shot, so it lit up the rocks on one of the shots. This was over here, and it lit up the rocks a little bit. Not bad. It's just simply makes a little bit inconsistent with the picture. Let's bring that contrast up a little bit more. We might just bring that down. Again, bring the saturations up. And the only reason I'm doing it is because, you know, they're Christmas lights. I really like to get those colors to really pop. Okay, so here again, same shot, but this time I did it in quarters. So we'll go use my preset. Oh, wrong one. And we'll just kind of play with these sliders a little bit. Bring the colors up. I'm going to bring the blacks down some. Again, that car was sitting there with his lights on. Or yeah, I'm not sure if he pulled in, or I can't remember now. There was a car that pulled in while I was trying to do some of these shots, and his headlights were illuminating the rocks at the base of Monty's pedestal. Okay, ooh, this one came out really cool. This is Monty's eye. That's what it looks to me like, a dinosaur eye. This one here, I actually rotated the camera into 16ths. Okay, so what I did is, not only did I do the 8 lines, but I also went halfway between each line as well. So that gave me 16 stacked images in the rotation. I'll do a little bit more contrast. It just seems to me like these pictures look cooler when you do some contrast. I'm going to bring those blacks down a little bit. And what you see here is, like, you know, this was actually, I had dropped the f-stop down. I went down to an f8 because I was going more, I think, right? Was that what I did? No, actually, somewhere along the way, I got shifted down to f8. I didn't even pick up on that. That's fine. That worked out for me. I usually like to push that number a little higher, but that actually works. Oh, I remember what I did differently on this one. It was the I wasn't going the full 2 seconds like I was with the other ones. I was going to do 1 second when I was removing the filter. What I'd like to do on this one is do a little bit of vignetting on this one. I'm just going to use the post-crop vignette on this rather than the radial tool. That one looks pretty cool. Let's see how this next one looks. Oh, that's pretty neat. You can see during the shots I moved the camera on a couple of occasions. See, now this one you kind of start losing the background because there's so much background noise there. But then again, I use the vignette to bring that down a little bit, and then also contrast. That contrast really kind of pulls that up. Sometimes also, if you use the clarity, it brings it up, but if you drop the clarity down, it'll kind of darken those. Maybe a little bit more saturation here. That one's pretty cool. I'm going to bring the highlights down just a hair. Yeah, there we go. That one's pretty neat. Okay, and then we'll look at the final one. This one, again, I did quarters on this one. And, okay, yeah, that's when I bring up this, this preset I have. All this preset's really doing is it's doing the auto exposure. It's doing a couple of different things. I have it set a post-crop vignette. I have it do the camera profile there, the lens correction. And a couple other little things that I've already had preset. So this is just something that I find I do on every picture naturally anyways. So I just created this preset here that I apply to all my pictures. Actually, usually I apply it when I import the photos into Lightroom. This time I unchecked it because I wanted you to see the raw files. But generally, as soon as I have them in Lightroom, that's already applied. So we'll do one more there. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button. I'd like to see some of yours. You can always send me an email or a message. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube. Send me a message if you do any of these yourself. Again, it's the camera mounted on a good heavy-duty tripod with a gimbal. The gimbal I'm using, it's made by Newer. I picked it up on Amazon. I think I only paid probably a little over $100 for it. It doesn't have the markings on it for doing the turns, for marking it off. I actually, scratched it with a sharp object and then painted it in with a paint marker so I can create those 8th lines on it, and kind of set it up. It's pretty, pretty quick. You don't need a real expensive gimbal to do this. One of the things I wanted it to be a little bit more fluid. So when you start looking at the high-end ones, they'll have they'll click on 15-degree turns or 25-degree turns or whatever. I want this to be these aren't perfectly 90-degree rotation between each shot, each exposing part here. So there's a little bit of variation in there, but and you'll also see in some of those other shots, like I said, the lights on that car lighting up the rocks on one of the mini exposures. That seems to strange how I got that in 2 shots. But what you do is you move around, you try them in different spots. If you move that, if you have your object dead center, it's going to be more centered. If you move it out, you're going to get more of that wreath kind of effect to it. But that's it. All right, thank you. Enjoy. Let me know how you guys make out. I'd like to see your stuff.